I've got my Vikings here destroying the rocks in the middle. I'm not sure whether that's really going to give my opponent an advantage on me, but either way I don't like those rocks, so I decided to get rid of them. Sneaky bugger trying to get an SCV through, I don't think so. So it looks like he's trying to defend now. He's gone on a hardcore defensive. He's massing his Vikings over here on the left hand side. He knows that he's going to need lots of Vikings. With the 2 bases and the 4 lots of Thespian gas coming in, he should be able to keep up a healthy supply of double reactor starports, spamming out Vikings at this point. So yeah, I don't know if I'm aware of those double starports, to be honest. I might be, I'll just check. Oh, I am. But the approach I was going for here is actually to get myself more tanks. Starport, I'll get myself another starport now. I've got a lot of tanks here, should be quite comfortable. I'm just basically scouting around, making sure that he definitely hasn't got any other expansions anywhere else on the map, because at this point I'm confirming my 3rd expansion, which is going to give me the win if I can get to keep it, really, because obviously it's a mirror match, so the more expansions you have or the more army you have, then essentially you should get the win. Now I've still got a lot more SCVs than my opponent, so I'm bringing in more minerals and more gas and all of that shizzle, so it's all good. I'm doing one last scout just to make sure there's absolutely nowhere else he has expanded, even though I didn't think he would expand down there. Meanwhile, what I want to be getting myself is an armory. With an armory, I get myself another factory, and then I should be able to start pumping out 4s, because the reason why this is because 4s are just incredibly good against like massed up air units. So my theory here is to use 4s against clumped up Vikings, which they do clump up together once they're all sort of flying together, and then they go and pick one target and they just sort of, they go in a line, so they're not completely clumped up, but they are all very close to each other. So 4s should be very good against that. I think more Terran players should use 4s in their TVT matchups. I mean, otherwise you could just keep on making Vikings, but it gets to a point where it gets ridiculous. I mean, how many Vikings do you need? You know what I mean? You're going to get to the point where you have like 50 Vikings or something. It's stupid. So getting a few 4s in there just to do some incredible damage as well. You'll see. It does do some awesome damage. So I've got lots of tanks. Enough tanks now, I think. Confirming down. He's going to be a bit annoying with his harass here. It's a good little bit of harass, but I'm going to make sure that goes down. I actually sent a couple of Marines at it, and it only had like 25% HP, I'd say. And it still managed to kill both the Marines. So Vikings are still very, very good when they're on ground. Even after the nerf. Very devastating, so don't underestimate them, that's for sure. So I've done a scan here. I've definitely seen it. That's a lot of Vikings. So he's seen that he's been scanned, and he's like, right, I'm going to move out now. And this is where it kind of didn't work out for me, destroying those rocks, because he's now got a straight beeline towards my base. Fortunately, my 4s have just come out, so that's perfect timing for them. Although I'm not ready for this, and I didn't know he was coming out, and this is his scan, I believe. He's scanning just to see what's in the immediate area. I think at this point now I see he's there. He's putting his stuff into siege mode. I'm going to have to put my stuff into siege mode. Unfortunately, I want to come and approach him. And what's going to happen here is, look at these Vikings all come together, but I want to get my 4s over here to attack those Vikings. And now they can only just about get in range. But they were being blocked off by my tanks that basically had to get killed straight away. But you see like the damage here. Look at the damage. They take a lot of damage when they're together like that. There's only a couple of tanks here, not too big a threat now. I know that I can guard up here and finish off the rest of these Vikings that have gone into ground with my 4. 4s do fantastic damage against clumped up units, and that was very useful there. The only problem is that they got stuck behind my tanks, and they weren't... I mean, I probably would have lost a lot less there if my tanks weren't in the way, but it was so clumped up with units I didn't really pay enough attention to that, so next time I'm going to be aware of that. So now we're looking at a point where my opponent is going to be trying to get some sort of extra harass, because he basically has to kill my workers at this point if he wants to come back into the game, because I'm now double his workers essentially. And I've got 2 expansions and my main, whereas my opponent's only got his main and 1 expansion. So really at this point it's not looking good for my opponent. They're like, oh, I've got like, oh, at least about 50 more food, but then again 30 of that is workers, so I've got 20 more food in army then. So I've got myself siege tank. It's got a nice little range here, so it can just about hit any units that try to sneak out. So this is a very good position now. I need to be aggressive at this point, and he's also getting himself an expansion here. But I do like to scout, and I can't emphasize enough how important scouting is. So you know, make sure you scout, boys and girls. So yeah, this is horrible for me. By the way, in my base, I can't get Vikings out quick enough, because he had more Vikings than me when we had that battle. He had about 10 more Vikings than me. So whilst he's doing that, I'm going to have to push ahead here and just try and do some damage, because that's a lot of his army at my base, and I realise that I can't stop him from killing my main and the workers at my main, but I know I have 2 expansions, so what the hey, I'm going to go for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the SCVs that were out of my main and bring them towards my fort, because I know that my fort is getting very low HP. I know that one's going to get killed. We've seen the SCVs going there. SCV brings down a fort. That's not good. These forts might possibly go down to the SCVs, not unless I can get them repaired though. And repairing forts is just sick, to be honest. 4 to 6 SCVs on a fort, you can essentially keep it repaired for a long time, especially since they've had their models reduced. Even though you could, I mean, you can get SCVs around them quicker, basically, and it's just brilliant. You can surround them easier as well with SCVs. So yeah, that's pretty sick, to be honest. The fours are doing their trick here. My opponent didn't make any fours whatsoever. He stuck to the old typical mass Vikings and some siege tanks, whereas I went mass Vikings, quite a few siege tanks, but also fours, which I think makes the difference here. This is where the scout came in handy, just to make sure that I denied that expansion there. Thank you very much for watching. This has been WTii. Please subscribe, rate and comment.